So, I have an interesting video for you guys today. Starting off right away, every single player in the NFL is on their contract year. Okay? That's pretty much plain and simple. I think I go to team salaries to check this out. You can see every single player for every single team's on their contract year. No matter who it is, no matter what their contract is, that is what it is, okay? I have changed every single player's incentives when they hit free agency to be only caring about winning a championship. So, every single player is going to hit free agency, and every single player is all they're going to care about is joining a Super Bowl contender. And that's including Caleb Williams and all the rookies, guys. This is all updated rosters, all 7th-round draft picks added to this. This is also the updated team schedules. So, for example, like Chiefs team schedule, everyone's team schedule. So, after this season, everyone's going to hit free agency. But again, they only want to go to teams that are going to try and win the Super Bowl or potentially can win the Super Bowl. So, this is going to get a little crazy. I mean, are we going to have like half the league try to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs? Or, I guess, half the league sign with whoever wins the Super Bowl here. So, yeah. Whoever makes the playoffs might potentially also have half the team on, like, half the league on their squad. That's what I'm trying to say. We're going to create super teams, guys, okay? There's going to be some super teams action going on. But first here, we got to get to the playoffs. Let's see who can actually make the playoffs here. So, Falcons are 2-0. This is the most important year in NFL history for the playoffs. And we have players getting injured. You don't want to get injured when not only are you in the contract year, but half the league's on the contract year. So the worst thing possible here would be to get injured and not have a good year. And the Chiefs right now are 2-3, so they need to kind of have a bounce back season here, as they can't afford, again, to not have a good year. If you're not a playoff team in this franchise this year, good luck. 54-17. Chiefs lose that game. Bro. Okay, that was, that's kind of insane, to be honest. Alright. We win that game, 4-4. Week 10. Currently going into week 10, we're now 5-4. The Bills suck. The Bills are about to lose half their team, Josh Allen included. And they already lost Stephon Diggs this offseason, so they're about to lose half their team, and it's about to be over for the Bills. 49. I mean, Panthers suck, apparently, which, This is, what this mentality is? This is the mentality of the rich gets richer. That's what this is. The rich gets richer here. Because everyone's going to leave. So, the rich gets richer. Alright. Week 16. How good is the Chiefs here? They are 10-5. They're going to win the division. Okay. So they're at least going to make the playoffs based on the division here. Honestly, actually, no. This game right here is going to matter a lot. This Broncos game. The Chiefs make the playoffs 11-6. They play the Ravens in wild card. Okay. And they lose. Interesting. Alright. Who wins the Super Bowl? That's the question. Because that's going to be the team that everyone signs on. It's whoever wins the Super Bowl here. Bears versus Chargers. Really thought the Bears was going to suck. Alright, so let's just kind of get a glimpse here. Bears win the Super Bowl versus the Chargers. Bears win 12-5. Okay. So, who's the worst team? Nobody signed with the Patriots, Broncos, Panthers, Bills. Colts, okay. So everyone's about to lose their squad. And, yeah. We're going to see the Jets, the Bears, the Bengals, the Jags, Chiefs, Lions, Ravens, Chargers, 49ers, Seahawks, Cowboys, Falcons, and the Dolphins. And the Cardinals as playoff teams. So, we're going to just kind of go on from here. We should have our guys still until after this free agent signing period. Yeah, so all these guys here hitting free agency. Free agency is about to be star-studded for probably the greatest time in NFL history here. So, let's just keep it rocky, keep it rolling, guys. We're now into free agency. Alright, man. I just want to look at what the rosters look like going into free agency here. Wow. Our best... We have no quarterback. Best running back is 67. We got no offensive line at all. No left end. We have like 20 players on this squad. Okay, so some players look like they got re-signed throughout the season. So it looks like the Cowboys re-signed Micah Parsons, re-signed CeeDee Lamb. So some of the players, I can't stop them from getting re-signed by the team. But you can only do that with so much and how much they cost. So, for example, some of these guys still on their set team. So the 49ers still somewhat good still. Okay, so some of these squads are absolutely decimated. Some of these squads are somewhat so okay. Keep in mind, though, again, re-signing, their incentives is to sign with a championship roster. So they might re-sign with someone because of the fact that they think that the team is a championship roster. But if they don't think they're a championship roster, they're not going to re-sign with them. So, for example, it looks like the Bengals kept most of their guys. But they also made the playoffs. Broncos got decimated. So the Chiefs got completely decimated. The other teams, it's kind of iffy here and there. All right, so let's go to sign free agents. Patrick Mahomes in free agency. Fred Warner, A.J. Brown, Chris Jones, Laramie. All right, let's look at positions, okay? Quarterbacks. These are what your quarterback free agency looks like. A lot of rookies as well. This is like the perfect spot for rookies. You no longer want to be on your squad? Well, guess what? You don't have to be. All right, the 49ers lost Fred Warner and Christian McCaffrey. I think that's a pretty big L right there. That's a pretty big freaking L. Receiving core. Dang. Oh, was she Rice? Oh, my man's a free agent. All right. We got left tackle. I'm just going to go through each position here. Kind of see the lay of the land here. Not as many great offensive linemen. Looks like teams kind of prioritize signing offensive linemen. But listen, when you got 53 players you got to re-sign, that's easier said than done, okay? I mean, you only got so much cap space going into that, and you got to re-sign all those guys. It's easier said than done here, but I will say not as many people that I think. I thought it would be more people hitting free agency than this. But as you can see from these, from the thing here, it says playoff contender 3 times. So each of these players, every single player here, as I go down here, you will see it says the same thing. Playoff contender. Oh, wait, no. Well, the kicker I didn't change. But I don't think kickers really matter. But every other one. Okay, I don't know why Fred Warner changed his. But every other one says playoff contender. That's all they want. They just want to be on a playoff contender team. So, let's see which super team gets set up here. So, first wave of free agency here. Let's go. Oh, wait. I got to click this button. All right. So, first wave of free agents signed. Fred Warner went to the Saints. A.J. Brown went to the Seahawks. The Bears got Chris Jones. Lane Johnson went to the Titans. Honey Badger 49ers. Joe Antonio, the Chargers. Greg Rosario went to the Bengals. They were a playoff team last year. Falcons. Jags. Browns. Okay, so some player... Okay, the Falcons. Holy crap. They're stacking up right now. All right, so most teams that made the playoffs last year just got guys. Not everyone. There are some, iffy in between there. But pretty much everyone there went to a team because they were a playoff team. Alright, so I'm just going to keep going through here because players are going to get signed as time goes on here. Darius Slay to the Falcons. I think we already looked at before. Dewan Payne went to the 49ers. Yeah, we're about to have some really bad teams next year. We're going to have some 0-16 teams. Nobody has signed Patrick Mahomes yet, though. No one has gotten Patrick Mahomes in the end here. So, quarterbacks being signed, Caleb Williams and Max Duggan. Both went to playoff teams. Christian McCaffrey to the Jags. James Cook and Raheem Mostert. Wide receivers being signed. Okay. Cooper Kupp went to the Cowboys. That seems so, like... That seems like a good fit. And it's not just because he's white. It's a little bit because he's white. I'll be honest, it's 100% because he's white. That's a Jerry Jones guy. Cooper Kupp? Oh, I'd love to have him here in Dallas. That's a Cooper. That's a Jerry Jones guy. Alright, so after the first wave of free agency, we still got some good free agents left. I mean, it's not completely decimated. We still got Patrick Mahomes, we got Laramie Tunsil, Jaheir Alexander. We still got Dexter Lawrence, Joe Thuney, Antonio Winfield, Trey Smith. Like, we still got some. Nick Chubb is still available. Saquon Barkley, DK Metcalf. So, Zay Flowers. Like, a lot of players still left here that could potentially be really great players for, you know, championship rosters or non-championship rosters. I'm going to go with probably for championship rosters. Alright, I want to see, does anyone... I think if once I submit here, people are going to sign, I believe. Now, the problem is also salary cap. I have salary cap on. So, that's another factor teams have to consider here, is salary cap. Now, I'm not signing anyone. So, I also wasn't a playoff... Oh, no, we were a playoff team, but we were one and done in the playoffs. So, I don't think anyone cares about coming to the Chiefs, to be honest. Alright, so Patrick Mahomes goes to the Steelers. Okay, let's see if who else signed here. So I'm going to go ahead and just sim 3 times here. There we go. So, Patrick is a Steeler. Stafford is a Brownie. Kirko went to the Cardinals. Obviously, Tyler Huntley went to the Cowboys. Joe Milton went to the Texans. Okay. Tua's brother went to the Falcons. So that's all the quarterbacks that got signed. Interesting. Isaiah Pacheco is a Cardinal. Only a couple of running backs signed. So still a lot of players in free agency. The Raiders got DK Metcalf. See, now this is the problem. Because of the salary cap, some of these big teams that are Super Bowl contenders, they can't pay these guys anymore. So now it's either you take less money to go to a Super Bowl contender, which is all the players care about, or do you go ahead and get, you know, less money and go to a team that potentially could be good this year. So that's another thing to take in consideration for teams here. Do you take less money to potentially go somewhere, or do you take more money and, you know, go somewhere else, but you might not be what you want, which is, again, a playoff contender. So far, a lot of players here have signed on new teams. So let's see. Let's go on to the next one here. All right, so next one is week 3 of free agency. This should be the last week, I believe. If I am correct, this should be the last week. No, week 4 is the last week, but this should be the last week technically here. All right, so let me sim forward 3 times. And let's see if anyone else... All right, so before I look at this, the only guys left now are Patrick Ricard. Everyone who is good has signed, pretty much. Everyone who's good has signed. So everyone who didn't get re-signed throughout the regular season is now either on a team or has been signed by a team. There you go. So all the quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers is a Panther. So Kyler Murray is a Seahawk. Justin Fields is a Jet. Deshaun Watson's a Bear. Baker Mayfield's a Patriot. Jaden Daniels is a Brown. Geno Smith is a Falcon. Drake May's a Ram. Penix is a Commander. That's kind of funny, actually. Derek Carr went to the Bucks. Kenny Pickett to the Bills. Gardner Minshew to the Vikings. Bryce Young to the Eagles. Okay. Wait, didn't the Raiders already get another? Yeah, they got Sam Donald and they got Daniel Jones. And then they got a star receiver as well, which I find really humorously funny. So it looks like all these quarterbacks that hit free agency have found new homes. So we're going to see how they work out here with their new homes. There's a lot of quarterbacks that got signed. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks in free agency, don't get me wrong. Gibbs went to the Packers. Wow. Okay. That should be quite the interesting setup. And they got Stevenson. Dang, the Packers got Stevenson and they got Gibbs. That's going to be a nice backfield right there in Green Bay. The Lions also got a couple good running backs as well, so that division might be tough. Fullbacks, which I don't think really too many people care about. But anyway, receivers though, Devonta Smith went to the Lions. Michael Pittman went to the Seahawks. There's a lot of new names, a lot of new faces. I don't think the playoffs going to look anything like they did last season in this franchise. Not even close. But let's go through all these just so we can see who went where. The Raiders. So the Raiders got a lot. They spent a lot of money on receivers. And they got two very average mid quarterbacks. I don't understand it. Okay, Robbie Chosen Anderson got signed. Who would sign Chosen Anderson? I don't get that one. Or Jarvis Landry. See, these are players I did not... Okay, so the Raiders also got like 7 tight ends. Raiders, what are you doing exactly? Like, what's the game plan here going into this season? They signed a lot of free agents. Again, these guys also lost a lot of players, but still. Like, kind of crazy, to be honest. Okay, what's up with these, like... Okay, his hair is in a different color. It's just a bad lighting. Thought that was weird. Alright. Anyway, let's continue here. Centers here. We got right guards. Again, I'm not saying, like... I mean... Listen, like, I expect to see, like, Titans got Lane Johnson, a Philadelphia Eagles, legend Philadelphia Eagles guy. But, nothing, like, too insane for me here. Why did I think Joe Alt looked like, Daniel Jones for a second? Probably because he's white. Yeah, this is the more of this video. Okay. Hey, Javon Hargrave went to the Raiders. You know what's funny is the Chiefs didn't sign anybody. That's so unfortunate. It's almost like the Chiefs are going to be a bad team. It's also almost like I'm a Bengals fan, so I don't really care. And the Chiefs don't need a three-peat, so it's all good. Anyway, though, they actually did in this franchise anyway, so it doesn't matter in the end. They didn't three-peat because they, you know, lost in the first round to the Ravens. Which, in theory, I gave them all the chances in the world to three-peat, but, you know, it's unfortunate. Nonetheless, though, let's continue down this list here as we're getting to cornerbacks now, and we're going to get the free safety, strong safeties. And then I want to sim the season. So I'm going to sim the draft, and we'll let the, you know, draft kind of go the way it does. I'm not going to use, you know, updated drafts here, because no real reason to be honest. Make sure I start at the top there. No real reason to be honest. So we're just kind of going to go with whatever the generated rookies are. But they're going to have to, you know, do it based on what's best for them. So even kickers. There's even a lot of kickers that got signed. Dang. These teams apparently couldn't, like, negotiate. I guess you kind of can. It's hard to negotiate with a player who says, I want to win a championship. How do you negotiate with a player who says, I want to win a championship? That's all I care about. And your whole entire team tells you that. And you, in the season, went, like, what? 3 and something. Or 3 and 14. Or 3 and 15. No, 3 and 14. 3 and 14. Like, I don't know how you have that conversation with your team. Like, I want to win a championship. Well, we can, probably not meet you halfway, but yeah. Alright, guys, I'll be right back once we get into the season. Alright, so we're about to make the playoffs, guys. We're about to actually get to the playoffs, not make the playoffs. Let's see who ends up making it. So, the Chiefs didn't make it. They went 5-12. Wow, the whole entire AFC West, except for the Chargers, were absolutely dog water. So the Ravens were the number 1 seed. Number 2 seed was the Dolphins. 3 was the Texans. 4 was the Chargers. 5 was the Patriots. 6 was the Steelers. And 7 was the Colts. Okay, and on the other side, the Lions number 1. Seahawks number 2. 3 was the Saints. 4 was the Cowboys. 5 was the Vikings. 6 was the Panthers. And 7 was the Falcons. Interesting. So the Lions were the best. Oh, let's go by divisions. Ravens went 14-3, 10-7, 8-9, 8-9. South was led by the Texans, but the Colts also squeaked in. The Dolphins led the East, but the Patriots were actually a lot better than last season. Chargers completely controlled that division. Vikings squeaked in with a dominant by the Lions. 3 teams made it in the South, and 2 of the teams sucked. Interesting. Cowboys won the division there, and Seahawks won. Okay. So, what did the stats look like, and where is everyone at here? So, we don't want to talk about the Chiefs, because the Chiefs lost, and, you know, that's a beautiful sight. You know. Anyway, Trevor Lawrence led the NFL in passing yards, but Patrick Mahomes for the Steelers had the most touchdowns. Then it was Dak Prescott, Josh Allen. Minshew Mania for the Vikings. Okay. Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson. The most interceptions was Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. It looks like Trevor Lawrence just threw like 6,000. Yeah, he threw the most passes by far. 675 attempts on the season. He also had the most, completions as well. So that's a positive. It's not the most touchdowns. Not the best there. Kenneth Walker led the NFL. Then Damian Pierce, J.K. Dobbins, Isaiah Pacheco, Saquon Barkley on the Patriots. Derrick Henry went back to the Ravens. Look like the Ravens wanted to keep him. Josh Jacobs on the Texans. So it's interesting to see how some players, Jalen Warren, stayed on the Steelers. Some players stayed on their said teams, and some players just said, nah. So CeeDee Lamb stayed on his team. Tyreek Hill stayed on his team. Jerry Jeudy, though, went to the Broncos. The Bucks, and had a fantastic season. But then again, Justin Jefferson. Okay, so that's why Gardner Minshew was so good. He had Justin Jefferson. That would make a lot of sense. When you have, Justin Jefferson, you can do a lot of great things when you have Justin Jefferson. All right, so sacks. This is probably the worst season sack-wise ever. 14.5 was the most sacks in a season. That is a pitiful year. And Emmanuel Forbes, the first-round bust for the Skins, ends up having the best year. That is insane. Who won MVP? Dak Prescott, okay. I love how Patrick Mahomes goes to the Steelers and still almost wins MVP. Just, typical here. Alright, whatever. Let's go over to simulation here. And let's start simulating to the Super Bowl and see who wins the Super Bowl here. So, Super Bowl. Okay, continue here. And Texans versus Falcons. Interesting matchup. Don't know how I feel about that one. So, Falcons versus Texans. And the Super Bowl is... the Falcons beat the Texans. Interesting. Geno Smith wins the Super Bowl with the Falcons. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. All right. So let's go ahead and... so that's just the screen, right? Yeah, okay, that's just the screen. What I want to look at before you end out this video is I want to look at the final roster. And I want to see what every roster looks like. So... the Bears... they're not that bad of a team. I think every team from this has gotten worse to a certain degree. Except for some teams. Like the Falcons. Who apparently this is like the best video of all time for them. As they just absolutely benefited in every way humanly possible. Chiefs, For us, they benefited. I love how... wait, so Xavier... and I always say his name incorrectly. Lajarty? I always call him Leggetti, but I know it's not Leggetti. The Panthers guy. He left the Panthers and went to the Chiefs. That's interesting. I feel like that's funny because they drafted Xavier Worthy. And then they got another Xavier, a first round, wide receiver from the same draft, but for a different, receiver. Kind of fun and interesting. Anyway, though, none of these teams actually look that great. Oh, the Jags look really good, actually. They got a couple high overall 90s. Lions. Lions look good. Packers. Packers just stacked up that backfield. Patriots actually made the playoffs and were good with a pretty mid team. I guess everyone technically is kind of mid in this. Ravens look really good. They kept that roster together very well. Seahawks, yeah, they did good. Steelers, they got Patrick Mahomes, and I think that's all they really needed. All they really needed was Patrick Mahomes, and the rest figures itself out by itself. That's kind of the mentality when you have Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of just like, yeah, alright. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.